In this video, we're going to finish installing Woocommerce. So after you've installed Woocommerce, it's going to bring up a window in your plugins dashboard which says Install Woocommerce Pages. So we're going to go ahead and click on Install Woocommerce Pages, and that will take just a moment here. All right, so this is it. Thank you. You're all done. And it tells you that Woocommerce 2.2 is fully installed and ready to go. So now we need to integrate this plugin. So I'm going to go over here to plugins, and we're just going to make sure that it is active, and it is active. So on the left hand side here, we want to go over here to where it says Woocommerce. And it's going to take you in. You could actually see your orders. You can see, orders that customers are making if you do have any, and your site is basically ready to go. But now you need to actually install plugins. We need to integrate with WooCommerce, and so we need to go here to where it says WooCommerce settings. We need to go to the WooCommerce settings. So under the settings here, this is where we're going to do a lot of our changes to our store. And so right here we have general options. So we're going to say, wherever your store is located, you could actually put that in here. So we're going to go down here and say Washington State, and let's say you're located in the state of Washington. So United States, and then pick your state, Washington, and then sell to other countries. You could choose yes or no, or you could say specific countries that you will only sell to, or sell to specific countries only. So let's say you have products that you don't want to ship overseas, which can sometimes cause a problem with drop shipping. So you could say I'm only going to ship to the United States and also to Canada, let's say. And the next thing is, let's scroll on down here, your currency, that's going to be American US dollars. So make sure that it's set to that, or make sure it's set up to the right currency that you are using. The next thing is right with the space. Let's see. There it is. And then the thousand separator, if you're selling items in the thousand, it should be a comma. Decimal separator, a period, number of decibels, or decimals 2. That's what most people do. Front end styles, you could keep that as is for now. And enable the light box, that's a good tool to keep. So we're just going to go save changes right there and just go right on down the list. So now we're going to go over here to where it says products, and we're going to choose our product page. And then we'll go on down here, see what other kind of options they're giving us. Product data in weight, it should be put out in pounds, typically inches for the dimensions. And WooThemes is pretty much based out of the UK area. That's why you're going to have to change some of these settings. Enable ratings on your product reviews. Ratings are required to leave a review. So you can choose how you want to set up product ratings. Usually the verified listings are just fine. So that's important. Let's see. Catalog images, you can pick the sizing. And I would typically just stick with their defaults there. And then after I make any changes, I just do save changes. The next setting that we're going to make involves taxes. So enable taxes and tax calculators. That's important. All right. Price entered with tax. It's important because it's going to see how you input items. So yes, I will enter prices that include tax, or no, I will enter prices that do not include tax. Usually this is the best way to go because it depends on your state and how they calculate laws. But most of the time, for example, if you're selling in the state of Washington, the only time somebody that I would have to pay taxes on my e-commerce stores if somebody from the state of Washington purchased. If somebody from the state of Colorado or California purchased, I wouldn't have to pay, I would not have to accept income tax on that. Calculate the tax based on the customer's shipping address, and that's how you should set it up. Okay, and then we'll scroll on down here. And then you can go to your standard rates and insert where you're getting taxes from. So you're going to insert a country code. and then your state code, and then your zip and postal code. And then put in the percentage that your tax is. So your tax would be, you need to look up with your Secretary of State if you're selling in the United States, or if you're selling overseas, look up what their tax rate is as well and call it that. Okay, Washington State sales tax, and click on Save Changes. Perfect. So there you have that set up now based on their zip code. And if you leave this area blank, so I'm actually going to leave my postal code blank, it's going to apply to all zip codes and all postal codes. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. As you're setting up any of these things, always read these question marks here because it's often that these sites will change how they do things. So start with your country code, then go to your state code, and the best thing to do is to go by the specific. Keep the zip code blank, keep the city blank, and then set your state tax rate. And then each county, though, in some instances within your state, they do require different tax rates and things of that nature. So what you can do is at the end of the year, at the end of a month, you could go in and you could calculate out what those are that you owe those specific cities, because 9 times out of 10 there's 49 other states they're going to purchase from. You're going to have very few people in your state that end up purchasing. Now as your business increases, this is something that you could go back and you could go add in special tax codes for specific cities that buy often for you, and you could actually put in the effort to really go that direction. I wouldn't do this to start out with, to be honest. It's important that you do get the taxes right, but make sure you're accepting tax for the entire state. And then as an order comes in, then you could divvy up the tax to the certain counties based on the percentage. Usually it's a very small percent. But again, my advice here is just so you don't get caught up in this, because there's literally hundreds and hundreds of special tax codes within each state, and it could be something that just discourages you. And we want you to get this up and going as soon as possible. So we're going to click on Save Changes here. We do have our tax rate set for the state of Washington, which is where this business would be ran from. And we're going to choose our checkout process. Enable the use of coupons. That's not a bad thing. Enable guest checkout. It allows the customer to check out without creating an account. You could force HTTPS, which is a secure protocol, which means they would have to be taken to a secure server. You would need an SSL certificate in order to do this method, and I would advise that. In order to get an SSL certificate, you could go to GoDaddy, you could call your web host. Most of the time, your web host, like HostGator, they will provide those as well for you. And let's see, so we're going to set up a cart page, a checkout page. Terms and conditions, you actually need to have a page set up here. So you could just go here to add new page, and that's where you would put in a terms and conditions page so people know kind of what your terms are for ordering. And the next thing is the gateway for how you're going to accept payments. So you would come over here and click on PayPal and then choose Save Changes. And then once you've select your payment method, you can click on Settings over here. Pay via PayPal. Put in your PayPal email. And then you could go down here, click on Save Changes. And now you're basically set up. You're set up to accept PayPal payments. One other payment provider I do want to let you know about that's very popular and it's easy to set up and it's a great way to take credit cards. And this is as an alternative to PayPal if you want to offer multiple payment options, and that's Stripe. You can actually go over here to stripe.com. Sign up for an account. There's very little review process. You just put in your email, you put in your address here, your email and a password, excuse me, and then you go through the process of setting up your account to direct deposit payments right on into your account. Stripe is a great way to accept credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, and it's very minimal charges. Just like every other credit card processor, there is a charge involved, a small charge with it, but there's no monthly fees, no crazy things that you need to set up. Stripe.com is a valuable service, especially for new merchants, and you're literally approved within a matter of seconds. And so you could be up and selling in a very short amount of time here. So I would definitely consider setting up Stripe.com, especially if you don't want to accept PayPal or if you can't use PayPal. You could use this as another option. If you are going to go with Stripe, though, you do need to go out here and get Stripe for Woocommerce, and it's actually another plugin that you need, and it does cost $79. So if you do not want to pay for that, that's completely understandable. One thing you could do is run with PayPal until you generate that revenue. If PayPal is something that won't work for you, or you can't use even a family member's PayPal, then you may want to look at actually getting Stripe so you can install it and use it across the board on your WooCommerce, your e-commerce websites. Stripe, again, very valuable service. You do need to have an SSL certificate in place because you are processing people's credit card information across the web. But it's a powerful way to go. I would recommend PayPal and Stripe. You could do those together or just pick one. And the reason I would recommend starting here is because they're with a regular merchant account, it takes several days to get approval. It may take a week. They may do background checks, credit checks, all kinds of things, cross checks on your business. It's going to be a hassle for you when you're first starting out. And the whole point of this video is to get you your own e-commerce site set up in a matter of a weekend time or less. And so with Stripe and PayPal, you have that ability to get an e-commerce site set up quickly. So we'll go on over here to shipping, and we're going to set up our shipping accounts. So you want to enable shipping calculators, enable it on the cart page, and there's a couple different options you could choose. So you could select free shipping as an option that you carry, flat rate shipping, or you could go with the different ones that you want to choose. So like there's flat rate shipping, and so you would just go here to settings and actually pick how much are you going to charge per item that you ship out. And this is kind of data you're going to find out once you establish a drop shipping arrangement. They're going to tell you how much it is to process an order, how much it is roughly to ship an item, and you're actually going to know these things. And so a quick little tip for you is to go out to ups.com. That's going to be your friend as you're calculating shipping ideas, especially as you're putting in products. So you want to pick your location first here on ups.com. And as you input items, it's going to ask you, like it's going to tell you the weight, maybe the dimensions of the products, especially if you have a good supplier that you're purchasing from that has a good drop ship arrangement. And so what you want to do is go out here to shipping and choose create a shipment. This is just to get an idea as to the ultimate price point. And let's say, where's your shipment going? So we could say test company, and let's set a city. And what I like to do is pick the furthest city I can, away from where my drop shipper is shipping from. So let's say they're shipping in like St. Louis, and I'm going to go to like Miami, Florida, which is, in Florida, and it's pretty far away. Or we could go Augusta, Maine, let's say. See if that shows up. Maybe not. So let's just choose a different city. Let's just say Miami here. Miami, and then we'll go Florida. And I need to look up the Miami, Florida zip code now. 33101. And then put in their address, 1234 Hartford Lane. You could just make one up here. Okay, and then put in your shipping details. So figure out how many packages, the declared weight of the package, and then what the shipping details are for this package. And that's going to give you an idea as to the pricing for your product. So it's going to give you some ideas once you fill in all this information. So you kind of have a rough idea. You can go out here to UPS, use their tool, and really help you determine what the actual shipping rate is going to be going to that far off location. So then you have an idea later on as to what to charge on your website as you're going through the WooCommerce setup. So again, go on through here under accounts. This is where you have your My Account page. These are all pages that WooCommerce installs for you. That's why it's important to have those. The from name is going to be your business name, so you could change that if you want it to be. So we'll say uniformsjerseys.com. And you could change your email here. It's going to pull from the default that you use to set up your account. So if it's something that you want to be different, I would definitely advise changing that on there. The next thing you want to do, it's going to say system status. It's going to tell you, let's see here, your WP memory limit, 40 megabytes. We recommend setting a memory to at least 64. So you could go on in here and follow the instructions there, or contact your web host company and say, hey, I need to increase my memory on my WordPress site. And so that's a really cool service that WooCommerce offers, or a cool little information under settings here, is they'll actually tell you things like your system status and those types of items. So at this point, our WooCommerce site is set up, and let's go over here and take a look at our website. And you can also come on over here to pages. You'll notice you have a cart page, a checkout page, a My Account page, a sample page, and a shop page as well, already set up in our navigation here. So if I click on shop, you'll notice that there's no products found yet because we haven't started adding items at this point. But we're going to do that in the next video. We're going to start adding products to our e-commerce store, and then we'll take it from there as we go down the process of installing, setting up our first e-commerce site on WooCommerce.